So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing if the New England Patriots should be worried. Now, before we get into the video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and let's jump right into the video. So when it comes to the New England Patriots, there's first a couple things that I want to specify when making this video. One, this is no hate towards the New England Patriots. To be honest, the Patriots are the very last team in the NFL that I would probably hate on. The only thing that I hate about the Patriots is how successful they have been basically my entire life, and that's the only thing that I truly hate about the New England Patriots is just how good of a football team they have been consistently for so long. It really sucks to see a team that dominant for so long. Now, obviously, you have to give credit to guys like Bill Belichick, guys like when Tom Brady was there, and Robert Kraft. Obviously, those guys deserve a boatload of credit for how successful the Patriots have been. So for me personally, that's the main thing that I hate about the Patriots is the fact that they've been so successful my entire life. And I mean no hate by this video, I promise. I'm not here to hate on the Patriots. But second, the question of should the New England Patriots be worried is an absolutely loaded question for a team like the Patriots. If we were talking about a team like the New York Giants or a team that's historically bad and bad all the time, you know, you have a team like the Panthers, the Falcons, those videos and that question would be very easy to answer. You could be a simple yes and you have your answer. But the question, should the Patriots be worried, is absolutely loaded when we're talking about this football team as a whole, because the Patriots have dominated the NFL for nearly 20 years. It's just crazy. The Patriots have dominated everybody in the NFL for 20 years going. And that's why it's hard for me to sit here and say that the New England Patriots are a team that should be worried. Now, there's things that they should worry about, but as a team as a whole, I don't know if the Patriots need to be worried. But with the Patriots, they are no longer the team to beat week in and week out. That part of the Patriots has completely shifted. With the Patriots, you don't look at the Patriots anymore and be like, oh, you know, they're the team to beat every single week. However, when you see the Patriots on your schedule, you still have to be worried and you still have to be concerned that you're playing a team like the Patriots and you have a head coach like Bill Belichick. But when it comes to the Patriots as a whole, there is some things that you kind of have to worry about. First of all, the division is something that you have to worry about. The Buffalo Bills now control that entire division, and I think that's pretty evident from the last 2 years. Now, the first year that Buffalo won it in 2020, I think you can chalk that up to a few things. Because in 2020, the Patriots had a disaster of a season for Patriots standards. It was not a good season. It was a season that they finished 7-9. It was very, very un-Patriot-like in 2020. So in a way, you could almost throw out 2020 because Cam Newton was not a good quarterback. He was way past his time in the NFL. He threw for 8 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. And for me personally, Cam Newton never really felt like a guy that fit the New England Patriots whatsoever. It was weird immediately seeing a guy like Cam Newton in a Patriots uniform because he's a running quarterback. And when you think of the New England Patriots and the systems that they like to run and the offense that they like to run, having a running quarterback is something you never would have thought of for the New England Patriots. And I don't think it worked whatsoever. I think Cam Newton coming into the Patriots was an absolute flop, and it was kind of evident because when the next year, that next offseason, the Patriots went on a spending spree. They spent $163 million guaranteed in 2021 during that free agency period. So obviously, Bill Belichick, we give him a lot of garbage for his draft and how bad Bill Belichick is during his draft process. And I think that criticism is right. You know, it's right. He's not particularly good at drafting players. However, when it came to free agency, Bill Belichick was like, screw this. I'm done. I'm sick of, one season of being bad for the Patriots was enough for Bill Belichick to be like, all right, this is not going to work for me. I don't care what we have to do. We're going to get it better. We're going to add stars and studs all over the place. And I think in that sense, the Patriots succeeded at doing that. They added Hunter Henry, Matthew Judon, Kyle Van Noy, Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne. So when it comes to free agency in 2021, I think the Patriots absolutely knocked it out of the park with what they were trying to do. They had a very bad season in 2020, very un-Patriot-like. They go out in free agency and they absolutely go on a spending spree and we're like, we are going to be a better football team. And in a way, I think the free agency period at least was very successful for the Patriots in my opinion, because while I think the Patriots don't really have a star-studded, talented roster, there's two things that you could always be for sure about the Patriots. Their defense is always going to be elite and it's always going to be a top-tier defense in the NFL. And you also can chalk up to the fact that the Patriots are always going to try to put their players in the best possible position to be successful and help the team win. Those are two things you can guarantee about the New England Patriots. They're going to put an elite defense out there, and the players are going to be put in the best possible spot. And then also in 2021, they drafted Mac Jones, which originally didn't look like Mac Jones was going to be the starter for the Patriots. It looked like it was still going to be Cam Newton who was going to be the starter for the Patriots. And during training camp, whatever the issues may have been, Cam Newton was no longer the starter. That job was then given to a rookie Mac Jones, who I think in Mac Jones's rookie year really did a solid job with playing really well as a rookie. I thought Mac Jones played very well as a rookie. He had 3,800 yards, 22 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, 67% completion percentage. So Mac Jones, in my opinion, did everything that the Patriots asked of him at his rookie year. I think just in a situation throwing a rookie out there is always tough for a team. And I thought Mac Jones did a very good job setting himself up nicely to have a good sophomore season, to have a good second season. So what Mac Jones did, I really think Mac Jones put himself in a good position to take a nice leap heading into his second year in the NFL. And in his rookie year, Mac Jones was even able to lead the Patriots to the playoffs, which, I think in a sense, that is a very successful season for the New England Patriots. Is you have a team that realistically a successful season is winning a Super Bowl no matter who is on the roster. But with a rookie quarterback making the playoffs, I think was a very successful season for the Patriots. Now, I think Patriots fans are going to be like, we should have went to a Super Bowl. That's our expectation. And I think that's fair. When you've dominated the NFL for 20 years, that's a fair expectation to have of your team. But with the Patriots, the things that I'm particularly worried about, what I'm worried about when it comes to the New England Patriots, the division has gotten a lot better. You look at Buffalo, who the last couple of years have been the team to be in that division. Now, obviously, like we mentioned in 2020, Cam Newton wasn't particularly good quarterback. That team wasn't, the most Patriot-like team. And then obviously last year, the Patriots started a rookie quarterback. Now, there was a time last year where the Patriots, we were talking about them, even with the rookie quarterback, possibly being the number one seed in the AFC, and that it absolutely did not matter. So people are still afraid of the Patriots. I don't think that is ever going to go away for the New England Patriots. But when it comes to their division, like I said, Buffalo owns that division. Miami had an absolutely spectacular offseason this year, and I think they've gotten better everywhere from head coach to players on the field. And then when it comes to the Jets, I don't think the Jets are necessarily going to be one of the best teams in the NFL, but the Jets have set themselves up nicely to at least make some noise and have some upsets. The Jets, they may not have a winning record. I don't think they'll have a winning record, but the Jets set themselves up to have some upsets every single week. They had a very successful offseason. So the division as a whole is a very, very tough division. It really is. And then you also have to look at the fact that that playoff game was not good for the Patriots whatsoever. That defense of the Patriots gave up 7 straight touchdowns. Like every drive that the Bills had the football, they scored a touchdown with it. So obviously the Patriots defense could not keep up with what Josh Allen and the Bills were doing. So in a way, the defense was really the main thing that keeps the Patriots alive and above water. And that was one thing that just that could not stop a single thing in the wild card round against the Buffalo Bills. And then you also have to point out the fact that the Patriots lost their longtime offensive coordinator, Josh McDaniels, to the Raiders. And I don't know how much of an impact that's really going to make. For me personally, I don't know if it's going to be the biggest impact in the world, because while Josh McDaniels is a good coordinator, Bill Belichick is such a good head coach that in a way that may not matter. They did bring back Joe Judge, which, say what you want about him. Joe Judge was absolutely terrible in New York. He never should have probably been a head coach. It was a disaster from the beginning with Joe Judge in New York. And it's just the lack of positions that Bill Belichick is giving out to his coaches. While I think that's one of the lesser important things of the Patriots in their offseason, I don't think with the Patriots, coaching and giving titles to coaches is necessarily the most important thing. You just have to leave it up to good coaching, and I think the Patriots will be successful, especially with a guy like Bill Belichick. So that really does beg the question, should the New England Patriots be worried? And in a way, no, I don't think they need to be. Now, if we're being honest with the Patriots, I think there is a potential that they've lost a little bit of the juice of the Patriots we used to know that would dominate the NFL. Just because the Bills have definitely gotten better, Miami's gotten better, and the AFC as a whole is just a loaded conference now. But there is one thing with the Patriots that's pretty obvious, and it's almost one team that I can never doubt And that's because they have Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick, a 6-time Super Bowl champion, will always get the best out of players. As we mentioned, he will put his players in the best spot to succeed, and he will always try his best and 99% of the time succeed to put out an elite level defense year in and year out. So that's why it's really hard for me to be concerned and think that the Patriots should be worried, because Mac Jones had a really solid rookie season. I think they have a lot of talent at wide receiver now. They drafted Tyquan Thornton. I personally thought it was a weird pick because the Patriots aren't a deep ball team, and Tyquan Thornton is a very fast receiver. They did trade for Devontae Parker. They have Kendrick Bourne. They have Hunter Henry. They have Jacoby Myers. So they have a solid group of wide receivers there. So all in all, I don't know if the Patriots should be worried, especially because you have, like I said, Mac Jones playing well last year, and you have Bill Belichick as the head coach. So in a way, the Patriots may not have to worry, and we may be sitting here a year from now looking at the Patriots. They made a deep playoff run, and it would be almost like they never left. And to be honest, I think that is a more likely outcome, that we think that the Patriots never left, than the Patriots falling off a cliff and just being a completely irrelevant team. I do think that the Patriots, while I don't think they're a team to beat week in and week out, are still a very scary team. And when you see the Patriots on your schedule, I think every team will still worry about having to play the Patriots every single week. But those are my thoughts on if the New England Patriots are in trouble. Get me your thoughts down below, and I will see you in the next one.